back to God, Guns, and Dogs. I'm Steffi B. I'm here today to speak with you about Venezuela. Most of you probably think that, Trump is just shooting the drug boats out of the water because of the fentanyl. That is part of it, but there's a lot more to it than that. There's Russia, China, and Iran. And also, remember the October 7th attacks? Hezbollah in Lebanon? Well, they are big time deep in Venezuela as well. So we're going to get into it a little bit. I'm going to read you a couple of articles just to let you know why Trump is going so hard on Venezuela. It's not just for the fentanyl. There's other, national security measures that need to be taken to secure this hemisphere, because they are definitely infiltrating. So Nicolas Maduro's regime in Venezuela is providing U.S. adversaries like China, Russia, and Iran a foothold in Americas. Less than 600 miles away from American soil, this poses a significant threat to U.S. national security. Today, the U.S. designation of Maduro's regime-led Cartel de los Solos as a foreign terrorist organization goes into effect, which could mark a new phase of U.S. operations in the Caribbean Sea. The Trump administration is keeping all options on the table. It has not ruled out the possibility of conducting strikes on targets in Venezuela should Maduro continue to provide safe haven to U.S.-designated narco-terrorist groups. On November 16th, the USS Gerald R. Ford carrier strike group entered the Caribbean Sea, joining a significant array of U.S. naval and air assets already conducting exercises and counter-narcos operations in the area. Targeting drug boats prevents their cargoes from reaching the United States and may deter trafficking by sea. But it does not degrade the underlying strength of the cartels or address Maduro's close partnership with the U.S. adversaries. Scroll down here some. To effectively address both threats and hasten the fall of Maduro's narco-terrorist state, the United States needs a comprehensive strategy that makes better use of all available tools of American statecraft, from military power and economic pressure to renewed diplomatic isolation. I'm going to go ahead and put up another article, but I'm going to talk a little bit. They are also, not only are they in Venezuela, they are also in the United States. They have sleeper cells. You saw what happened to our National Guard. You see what's going on all around the world in Australia, Germany, the UK. Okay, these people from the Middle East, these Muslims, they are not here to coexist. And they tell you straight up, they are not here to coexist, okay? Boy, oh boy, this is really going to be something, to get rid of all of these hardened criminals out of this country, let alone keep them out of the Western Hemisphere. They do not assimilate. Muslims do not assimilate. Their book, their Quran, tells them to eradicate, take over, infiltrate. It does not say to coexist and, you live your life and I'll live mine. That's how we think. That is not how they think. That is not even a religion in my book. It is an ideology, which is kind of like the trans stuff. It's an ideology. It's not a religion. They worship this guy named Muhammad that married a child. So in my eyes, that's pedophilia. They treat their women horribly. They teach their sons to kill. I mean, these people are barbarians. I don't know why they're even in our country. Why in the world would we let Muslims in our country when their only goal is to take us over and to kill Jews and Christians? We cannot be around those type of people. They do not belong in the West, and they dang sure don't belong in our country. The Somali Muslims got to go, and the Brotherhood people have to go. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Pupustan, wherever they're from, Stan, they have got to go back home. We cannot live with them. They're already trying to build a Sharia law city in Texas. No, that can't happen. I heard one of them saying the other day what they do to women if they go outside without an escort or show their hair. They bury them up to their waist in the ground, and then they take rocks and throw them at a woman until she dies. What? In 2025? Are you kidding me? These people are crazy. Look at what they're doing to everywhere they go. All they do is cause problems, chaos, death, destruction, murder. They don't build anything. They don't fix anything. All they do is destroy. We cannot get along with them. There is no compassion. It's suicidal empathy is what these nut jobs on the left are trying to, give them. And honestly, I don't even believe it's that. I don't think they care one single bit. Those people, those Democrats, they don't care about human life. They do not care one bit. All they want to do is replace us Americans because we're fed up with their crap and bring in new voters, and that is insane. So this Somali crap, the fraud, and they're laughing at us. I see several TikTok videos where they're just laughing at us. Go to work for us, white people. I mean, those people are sick and they need to get the heck out of our country. Okay? Back to Maduro. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro could be forgiven for wandering who his true friends are. Once rock solid, his resilience on his two main allies, China and Russia, now appears increasingly uncertain. For years, both countries supported Venezuela's socialist-led government politically, financially, and militarily. A relationship that began under former President Hugo Chavez, Maduro's mentor and predecessor. But experts say that backing now seems to be largely symbolic, with statements being given in support rather than concrete military or financial aid. This shift comes as the U.S. has deployed air and naval forces, including a nuclear-powered submarine, spy planes, and 15,000 troops to the Caribbean. The U.S. has conducted strikes on boats in the region that it alleges are smuggling drugs, killing more than 80 people, and in recent days it seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. Good. The Trump administration has said that the military buildup and strikes are targeting drug trafficking and the tanker had been sanctioned, but many experts and Maduro himself believe Washington's real goal is regime change. And of course it is. Look at what the guy's doing. He's got our enemies right in our backyard. We cannot have that. We just can't. We cannot do that. That man has killed so many Americans. 100,000 Americans a year are dying. Our kids, that's a genocide. These stupid freaks out there with their Palestinian flags talking genocide. Why don't they raise the American flag and talk genocide? We've lost more people in the last 4 years than we have lost since the Revolutionary War. Are you kidding me? That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. That is a genocide. They are doing it without bullets. They're doing it with the fentanyl. That's a weapon of mass destruction, if you ask me. They're doing it by they've killed a ton of them at just coming in here, shooting us, raping us, kidnapping. It's just trafficking. We cannot have those people in our hemisphere, and we have got to be strong and stand up as Americans. We can't just sit idly by and let these things happen. I called 14 senators the other morning and congressmen to complain about the Islamics, getting them out of our country, because every constituent that calls a senator or a congressman, it counts as 1,000 people in that district. So, I called all over the United States. I didn't care if I was their constituent or not, but they have a voicemail and you leave a message and tell them how you feel, and I did the other morning about what's going on here. So I really hope that we can put these back in the box, put China back in the box. And Russia, I don't know what Russia's thinking. I think Putin's just lost his mind. I mean, he's old. He's getting probably organ harvesting, and oh God, who knows what those nasty people are doing. Professor Fernando Reyes Mata, director of the Center for China Studies at Andrés Bello University in Chile, argues that Venezuela has become a far lower priority for both Beijing and Moscow, especially since U.S. President Donald Trump returned to the White House. There is no reason today for either Russia or China to go all in defending Venezuela, given their other problems, such as Russia and its war in Ukraine and China trying to coexist internationally with President Trump. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Moscow has poured enormous resources into the conflict, straining both its finances and its military. It has also faced sweeping Western sanctions. This leaves fewer resources for allies that previously benefited from the Kremlin's support, says Professor Vladimir Rovinsky, the director of Laboratory of Politics and International Relations Point at ICESI University in Colombia. Syria and Iran, Moscow's long-standing allies in the Middle East, have faced a similar fate in recent times. Russia will not risk receiving more sanctions than it already has, and China will not risk getting more tariffs imposed on it for defending Maduro, Professor Rovinsky explains. Maduro reportedly asked China and Russia for military assistance at the end of October, according to the Washington Post. The Kremlin Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov has said, "We support Venezuela as it supports us," while urging the Trump administration to avoid escalating the crisis, Russian media reported. I don't think Trump's the one escalating the crisis. They're in our backyard. If we were running drugs into Russia and China and killing 100,000 of their citizens a year, I don't think they would be too happy. You know, come on now. And in the wake of an American seizure of the oil tanker, the Kremlin says Putin has called Maduro to affirm his support. But so far, Moscow has not provided any material assistance. Empty words. Like Moscow, Beijing has shown no sign it would militarily defend Venezuela, instead of condemning what it calls external interference and urging restraint. Experts say China defending Maduro could jeopardize recent diplomatic gains between Beijing and Washington, while offering little beyond ideological alignment. U.S.-China relations have been particularly tense since Trump imposed tariffs on multiple countries. But in a meeting between Trump and Xi Jinping in South Korea in late October, described as positive by both sides, opening the door to a new agreement and lower tariffs on certain products. According to experts, Venezuela's economic collapse and the deterioration of its oil industry have further discouraged Chinese support. Beijing has reduced new lending in recent years and is now focused mainly on recovering past loans. I think China is willing to negotiate with any government that eventually replaces Maduro, and believes that supporting Maduro too strongly could now bring negative consequences when the regime falls, says Professor Rovinsky. He doesn't think that either two countries is willing to support the regime that has so little international backing. Moreover, both Russia and China know that the last presidential election had very evident fraudulent characteristics, and that fraud is coming from Cuba and Venezuela. Those MFers have been diddling in our elections for years. Oh my gosh. That infuriates me. It absolutely infuriates me, and it should infuriate you too. These people have got to get out of our country. They do not love our country. They do not love us. They're killing our kids. They're disrespecting us. They're laughing at us. They're stealing from us by the billions. I mean, how much more are we going to accept from these people? Give me a break. Put them on a cargo plane and